Welcome to the Awesomers.com podcast. If you love to learn, and if you're motivated to expand your mind, and heck, if you desire to break through those traditional paradigms and find your own version of success, you are in the right place. Awesomers around the world are on a journey to improve their lives and the lives of those around them. We believe in paying it forward, and we fundamentally try to live up to the great Zig Ziglar quote, where he said, "You can have everything in your life you want if you help enough other people get what they want." It doesn't matter where you came from, it only matters where you're going. My name is Steve Simonson, and I hope you will join me on this awesomer journey.
If you're launching a new product manufactured in China, you will need professional, high-resolution, Amazon-ready photographs. Because Simo Global has a team of professionals in China, you will oftentimes receive your listings photographs before your product even leaves the country. This streamlined process will save you the time, money, and energy needed to concentrate on marketing and other creative content strategies before your item is in stock and ready for sale. Visit simoglobal.com to learn more, because a picture should be worth 1,000 keywords.
You are listening to episode number 44 of the Awesomers.com podcast, and as always, you can just go to awesomers.com/44 to find relevant show notes, details, and even sometimes a link or two. Now today, my very special guest is Jamie Birch, and he is an absolute professional in digital marketing. I've known Jamie for a long, long time, and we get into some of that story and his origin story in today's episode. But a little bit about Jamie is really, he describes himself as a father, a teacher, and an entrepreneur. He's also kind of an affiliate manager at heart. That's kind of how he got his start. But he founded, over time, a company called JEBCommerce, and that has led him into all kinds of activities. When Jamie first started at Coldwater Creek, which is a top 5 national women's apparel retailer, he took an affiliate channel that was doing several $1,000s a month to a $35 million a year channel for them. That's how powerful affiliate marketing can be when it's done right. Over time, as a manager for SEO and SEM campaigns, he pioneered performance-based relationship outside of even affiliate marketing. And he's always been about negotiating long-term profitable relationships inside and outside of the affiliate channel. And that basis of philosophy and experience is what he built JEBCommerce. Now he's all about helping his clients and building the company, and you're going to find out lots of fun facts and details about how that channel works. And I can't wait for you to get a listen to this episode. Thanks for joining us today. Hey, Awesomers, welcome back. It's Steve Simonson, and guess what? Today I've got one of my old friends and somebody I think an awful lot of, Jamie Birch, joining us. Jamie, how are you, pal?
I am doing great and honored to be here. Thank you, Steve.
Well, it's certainly a pleasure for myself and the audience to get a chance to learn from you. And I've already read in your bio and some of the things that we have learned about you and that I already know about you. So the audience kind of has a little bit of a context for what we're going to talk about. But maybe you could just tell us kind of where you live and in general terms what you do today.
Yeah, so I live in the resort town of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And so I'm an entrepreneur and a business owner. I own 2 businesses. The first that I started 14 years ago is JEBCommerce, and we are a digital marketing agency specializing in affiliate marketing. And the second business I started with a co-founder now 3 years ago called Renewed Horizons, and that one is totally unrelated to marketing in any way, although there's some marketing of it, but that is an agency that works with adults with developmental disabilities. So it's been an interesting journey of seeing what I learned in that first business in those 14 years and how quickly those learnings, when deployed now in something new and completely unrelated, can help that grow exponentially faster than my first business.
Well, that's a very important point for the Awesomers out there listening. You know, our experience actually becomes that intellectual equity that I like to talk about. It becomes something that is leverageable, and ideally we don't make the same mistakes over and over and over again. Now, full disclosure, I've definitely made the same mistake more than once. But the ultimate payoff is when you learn to not make that mistake again and again, and those lessons learned can be leverageable. So, for the Awesomers out there, listen, I think I met Jamie in 1999, get your time machines out, millennials. And I think we were at a Commission Junction event. My brother, Brian Simonson, was there as well. and we saw you speak, or we saw you just in passing, and we were so impressed with what you were doing at the time. You didn't have your own business at that time, but
No.
you were operating for other people, or in some other company. And we just thought, man, oh man, this guy has his act together. We got to stay in touch with this guy. And here we are, 19 or, some odd years later. And we still follow along with what you do, because that's how impressive you are. So kudos to
Well,
you.
I must have pulled it off because I didn't know what I was doing back then.
Well, it's the blind leading the blind. We knew less than you. So guess who was the expert in that room? So
I was going to say, if you read the bio, you're one of a few people who would know all the things I didn't include in that.
there you go. Yeah, there you go. So, all right, listen, we're going to dive into your origin story and then bring it up to the present. Talk a little bit about this category, which I find fascinating. And boy, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Jamie, but people have told me that affiliate marketing is no longer viable. And I hate to start the show with that, but have you had time to let that sit in? And do you agree with that? What are you doing about it?
Oh, I've been letting that sit in since 1999.
There you go.
And that's you've heard SEO is dead. You've heard email is dead. You've heard now Twitter is dead, and all this stuff. And I think for the first 5 years in my career, I probably reacted to those things and was like, oh, now my whole life is coming to an end. What do I do? Things change. And I honestly, when I started this agency, I didn't think it'd be around. I didn't think the industry would be around for 15 years. Things were changing so fast back then that, and still now. And through all those changes, many things have remained the same, but one of them is people sell other people's things.
Yeah, that's and so just for the customers out there listening, in this particular context, when we talk about affiliate marketing, we're more or less talking about somebody who's representing somebody else's physical products. It's items that they actually say, hey, this is an interesting item to me and perhaps my audience. And instead of me selling this item or developing this item myself, I see this other brand or this other company offers this. I'm going to marry up through either a third-party platform or perhaps even directly, and I'm going to be an affiliate for these guys. This is different than kind of the internet marketing affiliate. Not that the concept is different, but just the execution, right? This is about physical products and selling physical products. And I have to say, not unlike yourself, I'm always amused every time somebody pronounces something that works really well dead. Affiliate marketing is one of the best ways to do on a cost per acquisition basis to manage your marketing and grow to scale. And is it fair to say that these big platforms are still fostering, millions, tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars worth of sales every year on behalf of brands and affiliates?
So there was a report that came out in 2014 from Forrester that said, I think in 2015, the revenue generated through affiliate programs, sales of real products through affiliate programs, was 4.6 billion.
Giddy up.
And going up. So this concept has been around, since before currency. And it's not going away anytime soon. And it is essentially, many of your listeners are probably building product, sourcing it, creating it, selling it. And then there's the other side of that where people are developing an audience. And so a lot of the affiliates, that's what they do. They develop an audience, and that may be a very simple coupon. They offer promotions and offers. Then there may be others who they're building an audience of backpackers. They're building an audience of mothers, of stay-at-home dads, of whatever it is. And once they have the audience, then they're saying, okay, how can I monetize this? And a lot of times that's through affiliate marketing. And for people who make physical product, and there are digital product affiliate programs that are wildly successful as well, including courses and educational things like that. What that allows the advertiser, merchant, producer to do is get access to every single internet digital marketing channel with one budget item and without having to become experts in email, in social, in search. in any of the channels that are out there. You can find affiliates that are reaching that audience, and that's what it's about. So yeah, everyone says it's dead. They always say it's dead, and so is SEO, and so is email, and I'm sure they'll declare Amazon dead at some point, and we'll all who are working in those areas will giggle a little bit and keep doing our work.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, typically those headlines are clickbait for somebody who's selling a competing idea or somebody who's just plain ignorant. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Too often they just simply don't know what they're talking about, or they're just trying to, throw some hyperbole out there and get some attention. But I want to say out there to the awesomers listening, we're going to dive into this topic a little bit more after we talk about some of Jamie's origin story. And the reality is affiliate marketing is alive and well. It is one of the key basis points of how Amazon built their business.
Yep.
They have the most successful affiliate program of all time, probably. And it continues to this day to be an extraordinarily powerful program. So stay tuned. We're going to talk more about this and Jamie's origin story right after the break.
Empowering. The name says it all. Connecting e-commerce entrepreneurs with great people, ideas, systems, and the services needed to stay business dynamic and to grow. Empowery is a network, a cooperative venture of tools and resources to make you better at what you do, because we love what you do. We are you. Visit empowery.com to learn more.
Hey, awesomers, it's Steve Simonson, and we're back again. And today we're talking with Jamie Birch, an expert in the affiliate marketing space and really digital marketing in general, if you want to know the truth. But we're going to dive into the very beginning, Jamie. If you will, tell us where you were born.
Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
I'm an East Coast boy.
How about that? That surprises me. How about your parents? Were they entrepreneurial in nature? What kind of business or trade were they involved in?
So both of my parents were in manufacturing. My dad and my mom put my dad through school, and he stayed in manufacturing. So he ran the operations for Nally's, worked at Olin Mills, Lighthouse Dressings in the Northwest, and now he's an energy efficiency consultant for those big plants. My mom worked in manufacturing as well. She was one of the first women, I believe it was line supervisors at Kraft. And so learned about work ethic from those two, definitely the importance of education and I think, the importance of your career is yours to own. And they taught me that.
Very smart. Obviously, it's worked out very well. How about any siblings?
Yeah, I have two, and they're very successful. My sisters Buffy and Megan. One owns a development house is part owner in a development house in Portland, and the other manages urgent care centers for a very large company. I think she has the whole Northwest. So amazingly successful women, a hard group to keep up with, but they are phenomenal. And they just do a great job. So I have a really great family support group, especially when it comes to, business learnings and being an entrepreneur. I think that you can be an entrepreneur and not start a business forever or a really long time, but that concept of your destiny is yours and your career is yours is a very entrepreneurial mindset. My career isn't going to happen to me. I'm going to go out and carve it. I'm going to create it. I'm going to intentionally find a path. And that's what, my whole family does. And we do different things. My younger sister and I do similar things, at least in the web. But my older sister is nothing like what, I went into or my younger sister. So, but that same thread through all, my whole family.
That is fascinating. It really is quite a testament to see such a diverse, series of, expertise there, right? From manufacturing to urgent care management and so on. And yet, the entrepreneurial bend of kind of carving your own path and all that seems to be that common thread you referred to. So how about that? You mentioned education. Did you attend university?
I did. I went to Central Washington University. It was the only one that would take me. applied to, like maybe many entrepreneurs, school, I wasn't great in high school. I was off doing other things. And I always worked, but I was ready to get out, and I was just trying to get out. And then I spent a couple of years working, and then life did not work well, just kind of coasting through. And I got kicked out of my parents' house, and they said, look, we'll help you do a couple of things. Leave.
I like that. They led with that. First,
Yep.
You're out. Make
Oh,
no
yeah.
mistake, you're out. Yeah.
You're out. That's happening. We'll take you down to the recruiters and get you in the service, or we'll help you get into school. And I didn't really want to go into the service at that time. I'm pretty independent, and that wasn't the option. I knew I was leaving, so I figured, well, you know what? I should probably stop screwing around. Let's get into school. And so I applied to every school in Washington, every state school. And sometimes I heard them laugh when they opened that application. But Central said, we want to know why. Why do you want to come back? You didn't do well. Why do you want to come back? And so I wrote a letter, and basically telling them that I was an idiot, and I want to get in and get out. I don't want to spend 7 years there. And I spent like 3.5. So I loved it. I had a great time. And yeah.
That's fascinating. So I also did a little stint at Central Washington, although I was still in high school, at something called Business Week. And maybe we'll do another bonus episode on that one time. And I'll tell you the story of how I got kicked out of Business Week. It was amazing. I do love that program, though, for anybody who's in high school or has kids in high school or what have you. That program, Business Week, really did teach me a lot. And it happened to be hosted by Central Washington University. So
awesome. I didn't know we had that in common.
Yeah, I spent 1 week in the dormitories at Central Washington. So, and that's probably the most successful part of my university experience. So how about your first job, your proper job, as I like to say? Maybe it's before or after university, but where'd you kind of get your first shingle hung down at?
Yeah, well, I'd worked full time almost since I was 12. So the first job out of college, I had no idea what I wanted to do in '99. I really didn't. And my dad and older sister and my mom, what they kind of taught is, this is your job, is to find a job. And we used to do this with him, when he was looking for work. I, created a list of places I wanted to work. I went and I took every interview opportunity I could. I interviewed with Target's management program, which is a really good management program. I got an offer there. I got an offer for Blockbuster.
Oh boy, you missed the train there. Come on.
I missed. I think maybe I could have turned that around. Maybe that's a missed opportunity.
That was the difference. The Birch difference. I like it.
Yeah. No, and I interviewed for finance companies. I was really interested in corporate finance. So I had, and manufacturing. So I had an offer at JELD-WEN for their door and window company, and that one looked the most attractive. But it was like a 5-year or 10-year, and it may have been a 1 year, but it seemed so long to get to the role and responsibility I felt that I wanted and deserved. And that may be arrogance of a 23-year-old. But then my dad sent me a note. The .com thing was still like really picking up steam. And my dad sent me this article of a kid who had I think a Bugatti. And he was younger than me, and he was making lots of money. And I'm like, I love cars, and I love that car. And I think I'm way smarter than that guy, and love millions of dollars. And so I said, what's he doing? And it's this .com thing. And I really had to ask other people what it was at that time. I could email through the Pine system at school, but I really wasn't, I have computers all through my life, but I wasn't like into it. Like it wasn't my thing. So then I started interviewing again, and I landed at a place that asked me 3 questions in the interview. How was your drive? Do you think you can do this? And when can you start? I think maybe it was just 2 questions. So I had spent pretty much all my beer money for that weekend on gas to get over to this place, and left upset. I was like, you guys, like, and it was a search engine guru was the job. And I had to ask my computer sci roommate what that was. And he had to show me what a search engine was on my way out the door. But the answer to the first question was like, yeah, it was long. The drive was long. But the second was, hell yeah, I can do this. Not knowing really what that was at all. So they offered me the job on my way out of town. They called me back. And my parents had moved from Seattle to Sandpoint, Idaho. So I thought, well, you know what? This is a pretty good move. It's not too far from college, where I still have a whole lot of friends. And so I took that job, and it was a medical e-commerce company and they did political products. So it was a really weird, there was absolutely no tie between those two. And that's where I cut my teeth in digital marketing. They sat me in a big conference room where everyone did kickboxing 3 days a week on a big card table, and said, okay, we want the top 3 listings for medical books and stethoscopes and stuff like that. When do you think we can get them? And I'm like, I'm on it. And I had to learn what all those words meant. Like, I really had no idea. And so then so that was my first job. And it was, nobody knew in the company what it was. Nobody knew how to measure it. But that's why I took the job. I could see, like, man, this industry is emerging, and I could go to this other industry and it'd take me 10, 15 years to have any responsibility and to make the money that I want to make. Or I could come into this thing, take a huge risk. But if I show ability to succeed in this thing, then there's going to be all these other things no one knows about, and they'll give it to the young kid who's showing a propensity to be able to do the work. And that's exactly what happened. So when I left, I had email, I had affiliate, I had search. I was doing stuff that I had no reason or right to be doing. And then the dot-com bubble started to deflate. That company, I was employee number 170. There were 4 of us when I left.
Wow.
And I was the webmaster. I was doing all the marketing. I mean, everything. So that was the first one. And I learned a lot. It was great.
Yeah, that dot-com boom, for everybody who wasn't a part of it or wasn't directly connected to it, was an extraordinary time. It really, often people talk about Amazon and the gold rush, and I could give you, why that is really not even close to a related parallel, by the way. But just this idea of stampeding, that was definitely happening in 99. And valuations were insane. I remember getting, magazines. I think there was one called Business 2.0 and maybe Fast Company, these types of things.
Yeah.
But at the back of one of them, they would just have all the companies and their valuations. And many of these were already public. And it's like 80 times revenue, right? They're doing $2 million a year, but they're somehow worth, 80 times revenue, which would be 160 million bucks or whatever the case may be. So extraordinary times. And then, of course, that fantasy land that had been created deflated in a big way. And every major stock took hits. Most companies in the dot-com boom went out of business. It's only the guys like Amazon or eBay that had a big war chest that were able to kind of steady on and carry on. So it's a really interesting time. I'm interested, maybe if you had a defining moment, not necessarily from that experience, but just from the start of your career till today, any defining moment that puts you on the road to where you're at now?
Well, I can't answer that question without talking about you.
Oh, nerds.
and that is, there are, I would say, up until I left and hung my own shingle, there were small learnings. I learned that the money that I'm bringing in through the affiliate channel has this multiplicative effect on the lives of people around me. We went through, 2 jobs after that first one. I was at Coldwater Creek. Well, we went through recessions. My team and the team I was on, we never laid off anybody, but every other department was experiencing that. And so that was a big learning of like, I was trying to chase my dollar, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. but there was a greater effect on that. When I brought that money in, people kept their jobs. And, there were people who now have better careers because of that money that we all brought in, and we were able to continue to do our work. And so that was a really big thing. And that's what prompted me to, one of the reasons I wanted to leave that company was, man, it's not taking all my time to have this effect on this company. I bet I could do this for 2 or 3 and impact just a ton of lives and impact mine. But, starting the business was awesome. But one of the big moments is you were a client of mine, and we went out to lunch. We came over to give you an update of where we're at, plan strategy for the next year. And on our way out, you were walking with me and you said, "Hey, I got to talk to you." And he said, "Why don't you let your team go up and tell them to go to the car?" And I was like, this is where it happens. This is how I get fired. Dang it. And you said, "Look, you're doing a great job. I love working with you. And you have big wins. But yeah, and the words you said were, I don't feel like you are methodically moving the ball down the field." And then you said, "You got to go read this book." And so I left right from there. My team drove home. I left from there and went and got the E-Myth Revisited. And one, I was just happy I didn't lose a client. And two, I was like, I really respect this guy, because one of the things I've always admired, you are an entrepreneur. You have, I think at the time you said, "Yeah, I own 18 businesses," or "I run 18," or something like that. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. And so that was a big moment, because before that, you saw 100% what was the main problem in my business. We knew how to do the work and we did it really well, but we didn't have a process. We didn't have a repeatable process that our clients could feel there was structure, purpose, and intent. And so at times it would probably be like, what's going to happen? Oh, touchdown. But I had no idea. And so now, we teach. Before that, we were the Brett Favre gunslinger. And we did better than most. But sometimes watching him as the coach is just like, oh, that's not the play, And now we try to be, Belichick and Brady. There's a process. And one of the things, like, without Brett Favre, how's the team do? Seattle's kind of going through that. If Russell Wilson goes down, what happens to our team? But you look at the Patriots and having a process. Sometimes they plug people in and they win, and you've never heard of them before. So that was that got us down on a road of just looking at ourselves critically, as well as making processes in the business. And I took that book. We went camping for a weekend. I read it 3 times in 3 days. I just read it and I was like, I was looking, actually, you said there's some hippy dippy stuff in there and I couldn't find it. I'm like, dang it, I must be missing something. And then I went through and read it again with a notebook, and I still had the legal pad, and I filled the legal pad with, we need processes for this. Then I read it to my wife camping, because it's not a dry business book. There's a story to it. She helped me come up with some things. Then I sequestered myself in the office for six work days and came up with our first playbook. And actually, I have one of them right here.
Oh, look at that.
Thick.
Hold that up. Let's take a close look at that. I got to get the camera to get back on you. Say something.
So this is our very first playbook, or this is probably the 3rd iteration, and it got pretty big. And so then we went online after this, and now we use Process Street, which I actually heard from in your Catalyst 88 group. Morgan, I think, presented it, and I'm forever grateful. It's been great. I think there's 150 pages, 152 pages of things that came out from that. And that enabled us to grow from, like $250,000 in revenue, and really was a catalyst to get up to $2 million in revenue.
I love it. So first of all, thank you for that story. I actually I didn't remember that encounter until you recounted it a couple years back at a Catalyst 88 mastermind event. And it's true that I've referred this book out a lot. I think you're probably one of the finest examples of somebody who took the advice, and I generally tee it up in a similar way, especially when I see the viability of the team, right? As we talked about, you guys can get stuff done. It's just not a predictable outcome. Time at that early point. Now, this is many years later, and you guys have the playbook, and you have developed it even further and further along. And Morgan is also quite brilliant. One of these days we'll get him on the line here too. But what I love is just the idea of this evolution, right? We were doing business together. We networked, and I was able to give you some little piece of advice that you were able to take and make into something useful. Morgan was able to help you later. All of this is just a virtuous circle. And that's one of the things I love about being an entrepreneur is we can help each other. None of us lose anything as a result of it. It's not like I gave you a secret and now my bank account is lower.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. It's not a zero-sum game.
Completely right. That abundance mentality. So I definitely appreciate you recounting that story. It is something that I am fond of, and I feel fortunate to be involved in this story. But the best thing, and for the audio listeners out there, Jamie just held up a bound book with 152 pages in there that was process and procedure. And when you have 0 pages, that seems like impossible. But be like Jamie, right? He just figured it out. He heard the story. It is interesting. So I often tell people there are some things about the E-Myth Revisited that are a little on the hippie side, a little soft touch side. And obviously it's my own perception of things. But the fact that you didn't run into any of that is hilarious to me. So
I couldn't figure it out, but I think I know what you're talking about. And there was a part of that called The Game Worthy of Playing or something. And I didn't get that part of it for like 7 years. And now the game we play is we want to delight and surprise our customers. How can we do that? The game I play as a CEO is I want to help my staff reach like some performance level or personal understanding that just blows them away and helps them become a better version of themselves. And they look back and they're like, how the hell did that happen? And I get to be a part of that. So now I kind of, I understand the whole book, but that's been, I don't even know how long ago. It had to be at least a decade.
Yeah, probably more than a decade. To be honest, but it's one of those things that I want to remind the Osmers out there listening. I'm a pretty consistent guy at the end of the day. The fact that I talk about the same things, I just did an E-Myth episode for the Osmers out there listening not long ago, recommending it still again. Even after all this time, it still is relevant. And because of that consistency, I talk about strategy, systems, and scale. Right?
Yeah.
Jamie had a great strategy. His affiliate marketing agency to help people manage it and help deliver expertise and relationships. And we're going to talk about some of that. That's something that is viable. That's a good strategy. And then to deliver systems, that was the thing that was lacking. And he was able to 10x his business at the end of the day. And the secret to scale, a lot of people don't fully understand this, but it's people, right? And Jamie's already alluded to this fact that now as the CEO, he's in business of making his people successful. And that's the kind of the culmination of strategy, system, and scale. I'm loving the whole journey and watching it.
And there's 2 other things. Can I share 2 other pivot points? One was financials. So I went to school for finance. I got a degree in it with I was like 2 classes shy of an economics double major. And I wanted just to get out and start my life. And also, I couldn't find an economics job that wasn't me sitting in a room thinking about stuff. And that sounded awful. But I had no real understanding of corporate finance or how important a cash flow statement is and how important cash flow is and a P&L and all those things. And so I'm going to be pretty vulnerable. For a long time, I ran my business and it was just another checking account. And I'm fairly certain a lot of entrepreneurs, if they're listening to this, they're like, what's wrong with that? Or
what's the point, Jamie? Yeah. Of course it's another checking account. Yeah, that's I hear you. Keep going.
there were gut-wrenching moments of, I've never missed a payroll in 14 years, but I was minutes away. I've had to borrow money to cover bills. I'll never, ever do that again. I borrowed money to cover payroll for people that I didn't have 6 months later. But it all came from, I didn't understand how those reports and how finance impacted things. And when we did, we went from, our sales actually declined during that year, and we were twice as profitable. So understanding those financials and spending the time making that a priority became, it changed us from always having enough to now we have months and months and months of operating capital in the bank. And if Google makes a change and it affects all our affiliates and that affects our revenue, okay, we've got months and months and months to figure it out. And there is a lightness to how I walk now that I can't describe. And it came from just I had to get to a bottom with that. I had to get to a point where we were going to miss payroll if I didn't take a loan from a friend. And I didn't want to miss payroll. And then just seeing we make a ton of money. The company makes a ton of money. We do really good work. Why in the world am I here? And then I hired a coach. I watched an E-Myth seminar on financials. And I really had to admit to myself that I would not look at the financials because I knew I didn't understand them. And damn it, I should. I have a degree in this. And then I was like, well, it's not working. I'll watch this webinar. And in there, I just was like, okay, I got to just admit, I don't know what I'm doing here. And I hired the coach and we walked through all of those. And once that changed, you make decisions based on reality, not on what you think is happening, but we used to make decisions that, hey, we just landed a new client. It's X amount of revenue. I can spend half of that on this. No, you can't. You don't know if you can. And so now the decisions we're making are great. And the retained earnings, we talk about retained earnings. For the first 10 years, that word, that phrase never existed. Now we do, and it's phenomenal. So that, admitting to myself that I didn't know something, even though in my head the story was I should, and that thing being finance, you got to get a hold of your finances. And frankly, even now I look every month and go, where do I not have a hold on my finances? What part of this report do I not understand? And that led to another one. I won't put this too close because it has actual numbers, but this is my dashboard, my financial dashboard I get once a week.
I love it.
And it has cash on hand, what's outstanding, late coming in, incomes over the month, profit, cash position, revenue totals. It has every key performance indicator that I can think of that answers the question, where are we and where do I need to spend my time?
So let me ask you this, Jamie, because I think that, so many CEOs say, well, I don't even have a finance degree and I don't necessarily understand finance to the level I need to. So there's a big intimidation factor. Not everybody wants to admit that, or not everybody knows what to do about it. Although, again, I'm sharing some of these resources for many, many people today. It's so much easier. You can plug in outside services that will handle some of this stuff soup to nuts and produce the reports. But my question to you is, how many hours did you spend building that dashboard personally?
The first one, I spent about 40 hours building it personally. Now I have an assistant and I will review it every week. And I ask 3 questions. What is it telling me? What is it not telling me? And what do I need to do? And from those, I'll see, I need this data. And I'll say, hey, can you go grab this data? But the first one was awful. It was really, really bad. It didn't show me anything I needed to do. And so what I did was I just stopped and I said, what is a cash flow statement? In my head, what is that? Well, I need to know what's coming in, when it's coming in, what's going out, and when it's going out. So I just developed a spreadsheet that has this week, what is expected to come in this week? What cash position do I start with? What's expected to come in? What's expected to come out? What's my ending cash position? And then I would do that for 3 months at a time. And in the new business, we started that from the first day.
Yeah.
And that business will eclipse my first business revenue probably in 2019 in year 4, not year 15. So that first one, it was the coach walked me through, and the E-Myth has a really good process for key strategic indicators. But it didn't go into exactly, and that may have been just the coach and I were working on other things. But that didn't go into exactly what does a cash flow statement look like, how to fill it out, what is a P&L? Like I remember taking classes on P&L and in accounting, but I didn't know what they were until the last 2 years.
Well, and until they matter, honestly, you know, until you,
Yeah.
the problem is we can all say, yes, I need a financial statement, but until we know how to read them, and this, I went through the same evolution you did, by the way, until I understood how to read it and what the ramifications were of it, you know, like, hey, revenue's off the charts, woohoo. And then somebody goes, take a look at the gross margin. I'm like, okay, yeah, I you know, 30% or whatever the number was. It's like, yeah, but you know, for the last 2 years, it's been 40%. And then you start asking questions. It's like, well, can we get this report showing month over month variations and year over year variations and growth and line by line percent to revenue kind of ratios? Because your brain will automatically just start lining up the pieces once you start to learn it and understand it. So, yeah. I mean, obviously a huge defining moment to get you on a system road path and a big lesson learned in terms of getting your financial house in order.
Yeah.
That's still paying dividends today. But I want to approach this question one more time, because even though you had to build this dashboard initially, today, week to week, do you have to put in the data yourself, or does somebody else, your assistant or other person, gather the data?
Zero data. And really, I had a bunch of this information in disparate systems, and what it led to was I didn't look at it because it was so hard. But then I watched, I was at the Catalyst 88 thing, and someone brought up the Grow program. And I think it was Morgan again.
It was Morgan, yeah. It was Morgan gets a couple of shout outs this week.
Yeah. Thank you, Morgan. You know, I hope I was able to help him in any way compared to what he's helped me, and probably doesn't know it. But then I just saw like, that was 3-4 years ago, maybe 2, 3, 4, something like that. But I saw that you could put it all in one place. And then that began like, okay, could Grow work for me? And it didn't really work for us. Well, I have people, they can put this together. So I spend zero time putting the data together. The first initial dashboard my assistant put together took her 2 weeks of focused work on getting it done. And now she tells me it takes about 3 hours to gather all the data from disparate places. But I can run through that dashboard in 20 minutes. If I'm having the data is 25% of it. The other 75% is having a system to go through it. And what do you do with it? Because I have last week's dashboard right here. If it sits there, it doesn't help me. So I just developed I have an Evernote that has, what is it telling me? And sometimes it's like, I have X amount in the bank. I have X amount I'm waiting for. X amount of checks are going to clear. And other times it's like, there's a gross margin problem, or wow, this one client, their invoices have continued to go down. What's going on? It's telling me there's a problem there. And so that process to make sure you go through it, that can take 20 minutes. The first one, man, the first probably 10 weeks, I was learning so much that I'd spend like half a day or more on the dashboard. But now I trust the process that we have. I have ways to verify that the data is accurate very quickly. Some spot checks I have. And so now I can see where we are financially, where we are sales, where we are with our clients in a half an hour or less per week. And that'll tell me, Jamie, you need to focus on, wow, this team, all their campaigns are down. You need to go see what's going on with that team. You don't have to go check and micromanage everybody, but this little thing is showing you need to go here. And, late receivables went up by 60% last month. Okay, let's meet with the CFO. Let's find out what our collection process is. Why do we have so much late that we didn't before? And just those simple questions like, hey, where are we on these 3 accounts owe us a lot of money. What's going on? And then sometimes we'll find like, oh, they didn't get the invoice, or the process broke, or I didn't manage the process. And that allows me to spend time on the things that matter, allows me to spend a little more time with that other business and kind of prepare for what's, when both of these businesses kind of run with me in a chairman role, where I don't have to be here day to day. I get to kind of figure out, okay, what am I going to do?
It's a Cadillac problem out there for the outsourced listening. And by the way, so many people, they have heard of this concept of a business that, kind of runs systemically and has the potential to run without, the founder as the day-to-day operator. But I think a lot of people think it's one of those urban legends. It doesn't really exist. Is it another Bigfoot? And the reality is it does exist. It can happen. So I love what we've done so far. Before we cut to the break and we talk a little bit more about affiliate marketing in detail, was there ever a time in your career so far where you just wanted to give up and kind of pack up the tent and maybe go back to, whatever, factory work, finance work, whatever the fallback plan is? Have you ever wanted to give up?
Yes. I'm trying to think which time I want to talk about. No, I remember for a period when we didn't have our financial house in order, personally or corporately, that my wife and I every week or every 2 weeks would alternate fetal positions. So one time I was strong and I'm like, no, we're going to carry through. And she would, really crying, like, we have all this to pay and we can't do it. Just go get a job. And then other times I would crumble and she would be strong. And it really did boil down to, we didn't have the right people. We didn't have any systems, and I was not managing our finances the way that we do now. And I'm not beating myself up. I didn't know. I love Central Washington. I got a 3.7 in finance. I was there. That degree did not equip me to run my own business. So, though there were many moments where we were thinking about, like, what would just getting a job look like? What would that look like for our lifestyle? Gosh, could I work for someone else? After you do it for a while, I think right now I'd be an awful employee, because someone would come find me and I'd just be working from somewhere else, or I wouldn't be working. I'd be doing whatever I wanted to do.
It's like, hey, I'm over here thinking about big picture things. And they're like, hey, you get over there and enter some data. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, that kind of reflection back. And this is, again, just a reminder for awesomers out there that, sometimes the journey has the ebb and flow of, positives and negatives, and you just kind of got to cope and you got to push on through. And it's just part of the process. At the end of the day, until you learn how to put the financial house in order, until you learn how to manage a team or put systems into place, you can just expect to solve more problems. And ultimately, if each day you go, hey, I solved a few less problems today, certainly not the same problems ideally, that means you're making progress day to day. Is that how you kind of see it?
Yeah. And those moments were my biggest learnings. Like it really was darkest before the dawn. And if I would have quit, I would still be that person that life was trying to tell me that needed to learn this thing. And so now, and granted, 15 years, almost 20 years of this type of stuff. I look at those things of like, okay, we're hitting the wall and I don't want to do this anymore. What am I not seeing that I need to learn? Cause sometimes it's like, hey, sometimes stuff sucks and you don't have to stress about it. It just does. And I have to get better at just being okay with, like, this is difficult. Other times it's like, man, Your P&L is trying to teach you something. Your debtors are trying to teach you something. Life is just trying to show you that you aren't taking care of this, or there's a skill you need to add, or there's someone you need to bring in to help you. And so I would say in those moments, when you're in those moments, man, if you can just get some separation from yourself and it, and just go, okay, what do I need to learn?
Yeah, I think that's really sage wisdom. Awesomers, when we come right back after this break, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about physical product affiliates and how they work today. And, a lot of people who are just focused on Amazon don't even know that this is such a widespread, very large business. But we're going to dive into it with a world-class expert right after this.
Hey Amazon Marketplace professionals, congratulations on your success to date. Your creativity, strategic vision, problem solving, and discipline have allowed you to build your own e-commerce business. Wouldn't it be great if you had more time to focus on the things that truly drive the sales and growth of your company? Instead of getting lost in a dozen different services and countless spreadsheets, what if there was one system that connected to your Amazon account and automatically gave you the information that you needed to make great decisions and really impact your business? Parsimony ERP can do that. Parsimony is the business operating system for your marketplace business. With Parsimony, you get true double entry bookkeeping, easy financial statements, full customer service tools, and item-by-item profitability, along with project and task management, and more features are being added all the time. Learn more at parsimony.com. That's Parsimony, Parsimony.com. Parsimony.com. We've got that.
Okay, awesomers, Steve Simonson back here again with Jamie Birch. And as we kind of come to the conclusion of the show, I want to really give some time to talk a little bit about a typical affiliate type of client that JEBCommerce interfaces with. Now, I'll let you set the stage and I'll ask you questions, but what's a typical customer who approaches JEB look like?
Well, they do offer a physical good. So clothing, electronics, beauty are big areas for us. So one of our big, and travel is a huge aspect as well, a huge client base. And so they come to us and they want to broaden their exposure to new customers and to get their products in front of more people and sell more money, or sell more product, make more money. And so they're usually, there's a size that they need to be where our fees are appropriate for them. But usually it's in those categories: health, travel, beauty, fitness, clothing, apparel.
And one of the reasons I'm suspecting, and just from my own experience, I know that the reason they approach you is a couple reasons, right? Technically a company could do this themselves, couldn't they?
They could, yeah. There's no reason they couldn't.
Yeah, it's not a matter of the skill set. What do you think that JEB brings that these guys don't have kind of in-house? It's not necessarily the skill set always.
Well, it's really tough to find people who do what we do and have the experience and have the relationships. So unlike SEO, unlike email, some of the, and I'm not speaking down to those channels. A lot of those you can increase, you can pull a lever, things change, and you can increase your budget in an ad group, you can change the copy, and you can see today what's happening with that. There are levers to pull in affiliate marketing, but it really is relationship building. Who have you been working with for 5 years that you can call and they'll put an offer up today without any testing and to give you that opportunity. And you're dealing with someone on the other end of that phone or in the email, and you're trying to convince them that this is good for them to promote this offer, this product, this company. And we have that. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. A lot of my staff has been doing this for almost a decade. And we bring that ability. One, we know how to do this. Two, we have the relationships to get this done. And that makes a whole difference. And throughout our time working on systems, we've built our own coaching program that gets people who have never heard of affiliate marketing into good affiliate managers in like 12 weeks. And so that allows us to train people quickly. That's difficult. And there's not a pool of affiliate managers advertisers can go pull from. They're not teaching it in college. So it's really difficult to find that skill set.
Well, and this is one of the points that I want to get across to particularly those that are trying to build offline or off Amazon channels. So,
Yeah.
e-commerce is a big business. So many people that I interface with are what I call the Amazon cornerstone business owner, right? They've set their foundational cornerstone on Amazon. It's going great, right? There's a lot of upsides to it. There's always, challenges in any channel, but as they start to look at setting that next foundation stone, some of them just don't believe that you can have a website make sales of a substantial nature. And the reality is, I would guess that most of your clients are big e-commerce sellers, and they have a big business in their own right, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I would say 99% of them. We manage their digital marketing, their affiliate programs for their own site, and they may or may not participate in Amazon or any of the marketplaces at all. And last year we drove $140 million in retail sales for our clients. And this year, probably another 50-70% more than that. So that's just us. Like,
Yeah. Just one part of the ecosystem, and an excellent part as well. And this is really the point for the customers out there listening. If you have your own website, it's not just how many Facebook ads that you run. It's not just how many Google ads that you run. It's not just how well you can do an SEO or how well you can email, right? Jamie's kind of talked about some of these channels. You have to kind of do all of these pieces, but don't forget, one of the most important things, I think, is the idea of interfacing with people who are influencers and have audiences using traditional affiliate marketing for physical products. It really is extraordinarily effective.
Yeah, and look at it this way. You have an ideal customer, and then there are these audience pockets that people have developed. You want access to as many of those pockets of audience that match your ideal customer. So go get them. If that means you're going to do paid search through AdWords, awesome, go do that. If you're going to create email campaigns or buy emails or however you're going to do your email marketing, do that. If you're going to be on Instagram, Facebook ads, all that stuff, go do those things. An affiliate is that too. Those affiliates have spent sometimes longer than I've been doing this in building an audience, and they know who their audience is. And a lot of times that's where that audience shops. So if you want access to that, that's where you have to be. And so don't look at it as something I don't know. Just get basic. You want access to as many audiences as possible. Guess what? Amazon has a lot of people in that audience. Awesome, you're there. Now, where is the next audience? You want to make sure you get some diversification. One of the things that affiliate marketing brings is that diversification, because you can work with a loyalty partner. And a lot of times for smaller brands that are cornerstone Amazon places, they don't have the brand that a Zappos or a Zulily or someone, a Coca-Cola has. You're going to have to work over time to build that brand. And the affiliates can expose you to different pockets of of that big audience that you may not have access to, or maybe you only have one budget item. You only have enough to do one thing. I'd go do that, because you're gonna find a paid search affiliate. You're gonna find an SEO affiliate, a loyalty affiliate, influencers. You're gonna find coupon and discount shoppers. You're gonna find the exact audience you need through that channel.
Well, there's so much in this particular segment, affiliate marketing, that we could dive into. And I just want to share with customers out there, this is just a thumbnail sketch. This is just the beginning. This is certainly not the end. And the opportunity is still extraordinarily valuable. And fundamentally, one of the best parts of it that I like is that it is a cost per acquisition. It's a performance-based methodology versus I'm going to throw a bunch of money in the sky and hope something works. And that's to me is one of the best benefits. Jamie, as we're against the clock here, we'll probably have you back on at one of these times, or maybe somebody from your team, to dive a little bit more into detail in an authority episode. But do you have any final words of wisdom for the customers out there who are listening?
Final words of wisdom is, I guess the biggest thing for me that I've learned in this business is I'm my biggest bottleneck. And our immense growth and the success that my wife and I have had through our multiple businesses, it has gone from, we have a good life, but we're still paycheck to paycheck, going to that's not the case. that has been looking inward and finding out where am I being the bottleneck? What things do I not even realize that I'm doing that's inhibiting my personal and professional growth and the revenue of my organization? And so I would say, grab the E-Myth book is definitely one of them. And the other is to start look inward and observe yourself in action. So I don't know, maybe that's a little too hippy dippy, but
yeah, we were expecting some kind of hippy dippy. Got it in under the wire. No, that's actually quite good advice. And really this is consistent with the same things that I talk about on a regular basis. Figure out how to, get your ducks in a row, both, financially, personally, as a business. All of this is just about organizing things. So I think that's really sage wisdom. And I thank you again for your time and giving back to the Awesomers out there. Awesomers, if you're listening, definitely we'll put the links in to Jamie's company and let you reach out and figure out, how to learn a little bit more about this. And Jamie, thank you for your time today.
You're welcome. It was an honor. Always great to speak with you.
Certainly my pleasure. Awesomers, we'll be right back after this.
Catalyst 88 was developed to help entrepreneurs achieve their short and long-term goals in e-commerce markets by utilizing the power of shared entrepreneurial wisdom. Entrepreneurship is nothing if not lessons to be learned. Learn from others. Learn from us. I guarantee that we will learn from you. Visit Catalyst88.com because your success is our success. And giddy up.
Boy, as always, I'm just so excited to hang out with Awesomers. Jamie is a world-class Awesomer in every possible way, and he's somebody that is really just always trying to do better for himself and do better for his people and his company and his clients. It's a really positive type of atmosphere to be around, and he's always an inspiring guy to me. One of the things I want to really dive in on is the fact that, we discussed this within the episode, but if you're trying to build your own website, affiliate marketing is probably second only to email in terms of effectiveness. And too often people miss affiliate marketing, or they get confused about, digital marketing or digital products being the only thing that affiliates work on. But physical products and affiliates go way back into the very origin days of the internet. And at one point we had, this was back in the old days, but we had a sales channel of affiliates that was built up, and we were in fact, I think we were larger than Major League Baseball in terms of affiliate sales at the time. This is when they were first getting their start. I'm sure they could kick the crap out of me today. But the point is, affiliate marketing has huge value. It's a cost per acquisition channel, which is all performance based. This is not I'm going to spend, $10,000 on this marketing channel. I hope something comes through. You only spend money when you get a sale. It's really, really, really effective. And I know that the Empower e-commerce cooperative is working on an affiliate program that members can join and get a special break on and enjoy some of the benefits of driving traffic to your own website. Such an important thing. I just can't stress it enough. I don't like the idea of people just being in a single channel, whether it's your own or anybody else's on the marketplace or what have you, and without some other opportunity to make sales and find customers wherever they want to be in terms of their online behaviors. Not everybody goes to eBay or Etsy or Amazon or Jet or whomever. So these are very important marketing concepts, and I really appreciate that Jamie came in and took the time to hang out with us. So to find show notes and details, things that we've talked about, go ahead on over to awesomers.com/44. And don't forget that newsletter over there is probably worth you signing up for. We don't spam you. We send you lots of fun and I think valuable things at no cost. That's a pretty good deal. Well, we've done it again, everybody. We have another episode of the Awesomers podcast ready for the world. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that you've enjoyed our program today. Now's a good time to take a moment to subscribe, like, and share this podcast. Heck, you could even leave a review if you wanted. Awesomers around you will appreciate your help. It's only with your participation and sharing that we'll be able to achieve our goals. Our success is literally in your hands. Thank you again for joining us. We are at your service. Find out more about me, Steve Simonson, our guests, team, and all the other Awesomers involved at awesomers.com. Thank you again.
Awesomers.com